Look, I need to be straight with you about something. Jeudy went absolutely nuclear in that media availability, and nobody's talking about what it actually means. Everyone's focused on the one-word answers and the frustration, but they're missing the real story here. This man just exposed everything wrong with how the Browns are handling their quarterback situation, and honestly, it might be the wake-up call that organization desperately needs. So Jerry's standing there, right? Reporters are circling him with all these surface-level questions about Jameis Winston and building chemistry, and you can literally see him fighting the urge to walk out. The body language alone tells you everything. This isn't a guy who's annoyed by media obligations. This is someone who's watching a train wreck in slow motion and can't say what he really wants to say without getting fined or causing a full-blown controversy. When they asked him about developing chemistry this week, he just said it's going to be very important. That's it. No elaboration, no coach speak about trusting the process or being excited for the opportunity. Just cold, hard facts delivered with the enthusiasm of someone reading terms and conditions, and the reporters kept pushing, kept asking these questions that completely missed the point, and you could feel Jerry's patience wearing thinner with each one. Then comes the question about what he's seen from the backup quarterback over the past few months, and Jerry says he's consistently growing, but listen to how he says it. There's this pause, this weight behind those words like he wants to add, but how would I really know when the man hasn't been getting meaningful reps with the first team? He doesn't say that, obviously, but it's hanging there in the silence. The absolute best moment, though, the one that should be plastered on every sports show, comes when someone asks if there's a way to fast-forward the chemistry-building process. Jerry just deadpans it. No, you just need reps. 4 words that explain the entire situation. 4 words that basically indict the coaching staff's entire approach without Jerry having to directly point fingers. It's brilliant, really, because he's being completely honest while staying just professional enough to avoid getting called into the head coach's office. Here's what people don't understand about quarterback-receiver chemistry. It's not something you can microwave. You can't just throw 2 talented players together and expect magic. It takes months of work, countless reps, understanding each other's timing down to the millisecond. You need to know when your quarterback releases the ball. Does he throw with anticipation, or does he wait to see you open? Does he put air under it or rifle it in there? Where does he like to place the ball on comeback routes versus posts? All of that takes time. It takes practice. It takes, you guessed it, reps. And Jeudy knows this better than anyone because he's lived it. He came from Denver, where he dealt with quarterback chaos for years. He knows what it's like to finally get some stability and what it takes to build that connection. So when he's standing there giving one-word answers, he's not being difficult. He's frustrated because everyone keeps dancing around the obvious problem. The backup hasn't been getting the preparation he needs, and now they're expecting these guys to have this magical connection after limited work together. Think about it from Jerry's perspective for a second. You're the number 1 receiver on this team. You've got the talent, you've got the hands, you've got the route running ability. Your quarterback situation has been unstable, and you're just trying to do your job and help the team win. You want to build chemistry with whoever's throwing you the ball, but you can't do that if you're not getting the necessary practice time together. And then when things don't look perfect in games, everyone wants to point fingers and ask what went wrong. It's maddening. Jerry going off on reporters, or more accurately, showing his frustration through brevity, isn't a bad thing. It's actually the best thing that could happen right now because it forces people to acknowledge the elephant in the room. This is a veteran player with credibility, basically saying, without explicitly saying it, that the preparation process has been inadequate. That's huge. That's someone with standing in the locker room going to bat for a teammate and calling out a system that's setting people up for less than ideal circumstances. And you know what I think is really happening here? This frustration didn't just appear overnight. This has been building. Jerry's probably been in meetings, probably been talking with coaches, probably been asking for more opportunities to work with different quarterbacks to prepare for any scenario. And when those requests don't get prioritized, and then everyone acts surprised when the chemistry isn't there, that's when the frustration boils over into these media sessions. The beautiful part about all this is that Jerry's frustration actually shows he cares. He wants to win, he wants to succeed, he wants to have good chemistry with his quarterback, whoever that might be. And he's willing to show that frustration publicly, even knowing it might not make the coaching staff happy, because he believes in doing things the right way. That takes guts. Here's what should happen moving forward. The Browns need to be more intentional about getting their backup quarterbacks meaningful reps with the first team. Not just garbage time during practice, but actual competitive situations where they're working against the starting defense and building timing with the starting receivers. Because if your starter goes down, and in the NFL, that's not a question of if but when, you need your backup ready to step in without missing a beat.
Jeudy isn't being dramatic. He's not causing problems. He's being real about what it takes to succeed in this league. Chemistry takes reps. Timing takes reps. Success takes reps. It's that simple and that complicated at the same time.
The Browns organization should be thanking Jerry for speaking up because he's identifying a fixable problem before it becomes a season-ending disaster. When your number one receiver is willing to show frustration this publicly, even in a measured way, that tells you something important. It tells you there's a disconnect between what players need to succeed and what they're being given. It tells you that professional athletes who've been in this league understand what's required better than people who've never played at this level. And it tells you that when veterans speak up, even through pointed silence and brief answers, organizations should listen. Jerry could have easily played it safe. He could have given the typical responses everyone expects. Working hard, excited for the opportunity, taking it one day at a time, all that standard stuff we hear 1,000 times a season. But he didn't. He chose to be authentic. He chose to let his frustration show in a professional way. And in doing so, he sent a message to the entire organization that things need to change. This is exactly what football needs more of. Players being real about the challenges they face, speaking truth even when it's uncomfortable, and holding organizations accountable for providing the resources necessary for success. Jeudy just did all of that in about 30 seconds of media availability. That's efficiency and effectiveness wrapped into one frustrated package. So when you watch the Browns going forward, pay attention to how they handle their quarterback preparation. Pay attention to whether they make changes based on what Jerry's basically screaming between the lines. Because if they don't, they'll have more than just one frustrated receiver dealing with reporters. They'll have a locker room full of players questioning whether leadership understands what it actually takes to win in this league. And that's when things really fall apart.